So I'm not doing a mortgage presentation, in case you're wondering, but this is just our reality check. So earlier this month, in fact, it was just a couple of weeks ago, we got a call. And if you haven't gotten a call yet, you probably will at some point. So we had 2 rental properties. Well, we have many more, but at this particular institution, we had 2, and we hit what was called the trigger rate. So we got the call. So there was a rental house that we own in Nanaimo and a rental house that or a condo here in Langford, actually. And because of the interest rate increases, etc., we're now looking at having to increase our monthly variable rates, or we had to look at what our options were. And believe it or not, I don't have a crystal ball. I've been doing real estate investing since 1997, but I still haven't found the crystal ball. Anyway, so after much talking and discussion and looking at all of our mortgages, which are about 13 or 14, we opted to raise the variable payment on the condo and to lock in the house in Nanaimo. And we locked in for 3 years because our idea is in 3 years is that we'll likely be selling that building to our existing tenant. Not the building, but the house. So the result was that the mortgage payment on the condo went up $487. And the mortgage payment on the house went up $628. So that's a total of $1,115.60 a month. So did that impact our cash flow? You bet, because other things are also going up. Cost of insurance, have you noticed? Okay, property taxes, everything else. So it was a bit of a reality check because that really affects the positive cash flow. Fortunately, when we combine these 2 together, we are still positive, but not a lot. But now we feel that we've righted the ship for a while and we can probably weather the storm. So it's imperative, I want to really stress this, that you know exactly where you are with any property you have, what kind of mortgage you have, when it matures, and what the impact is going to be. You need to have a discussion with your mortgage person to look at what your options are, because the question is no longer can you afford to buy a property, it's can you afford to keep it? Can you weather the storm? And if you are prudent and not burying your head in the sand, chances are there are lots of options out there for you. But, you know, I remember back in 2008, this is not my first rodeo. 2008, we had to sell. We ended up selling 3 properties at that time to keep everything else afloat. And, you know, it's hard decisions, but sometimes that's what you need to do. And don't wait until it's too late. So you need to know in advance how you're sitting. When will your mortgage renew, right? Can you take the hit? How many people can take the hit? What will happen when you can't take the hit? What will those people do? And how will that impact? Impact on inventory? Up, down, stay the same. It's always the choices. Likely the impact on inventory will be up. Likely the impact on number of buyers will be down. Likely the impact on prices will eventually go down. And I say eventually go down because depending on where you are, they haven't really dropped much. But don't be fooled. There's always a lag. So you need to know sort of what's coming up so that you can position yourselves to move forward. The bank rate is still very low historically. And why is it such a big deal? You know, it's low. I bought my first house in 1977. My interest rate then was 6.25. It's almost double what it is now. What's the big deal? Well, this is the big deal. Because the last time that the bank rate was at 3.5 was here. So you're looking at the blue. Everybody can see the blue? I feel like I'm blocking the screen from some people. But so it was in 2008, right? So we went drastically down for a long period of time, and now we're back up to 3.5. The difference is this, that the average cost of a house in 2008 here was $524,000. And today, it's $1.2 million. So 3.5% for a mortgage for a $525,000 house was a lot lower than what it is today, comparatively to what percentage of your income that's going to take, or your rental, right? So that's the huge difference. That's why 3.5 is a big deal. And after this week, and with what's going on in the States, after what's going to happen here in October, it's not staying at 3.5. Anyway, so here's the interesting thing. From February 2021 to April 22, we were in like crazy market, right? 80 to 120% of all homes listed in any given month sold. How can you sell 120%?
Yeah.
Because a lot of them didn't actually make the market until they were sold, and then they were posted because they needed to track the data. So sales to active listing ratio, that's the period we're talking about, February to April. Now, this is the data that's used to determine what kind of market we are in. So this data, if it's below 10%, we're going downward and it becomes a buyer's market. If we're above 25%, we're in a seller's market. And in the middle, it's a balanced market. So, based on this, where are we?
Heading to a balanced market.
Heading to a balanced market, but we're not there yet. And I think that's a big shock for people. And I've been telling people this for ages. We buyers right now, and a lot of investors, think we're in a buyer's market. Surprise, surprise, when they lowball and the seller says, take a hike. And they're like, what? What do you mean? The market is changing, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, they go away, they can't find what they're looking for, they come back 2 weeks later. So yes, things are taking longer to sell, 30 to 60 days instead of a week. Imagine. That's kind of getting back more to normal. Now, we are headed to a balanced market. We are headed to but we have to go through the balanced market first. Sorry, we're headed to the buyer's market. It will happen, but it's not happening now. And it's likely not going to happen in a few months. It may happen that we hit a buyer's market in a year. There's always a lag. So, and despite what the headlines are saying, and particularly in Victoria, you need to be very aware of what market you are actually in. Sellers know they're in a seller's market. They're adjusting their prices, not because they think they're in a buyer's market, but they know they're nearing the end of the seller's market, and they don't want to wait for it to be a buyer's market. You're not convinced yet? There were 71 sales single homes, first 15 days of May. 51 sales in the first 20 days of September. Okay? Much fewer sales in a longer period of time. 72% of the sales in May were sold for full price or above list. What happened in September so far? We have 25% of those sales are still selling at full price or above. It's sure a decrease from 72%, was it? Yeah. But it's not the end of the world. But this really tells the tale. In May, 19 of those sales were below list. In September, 38 were below list. It's a higher percentage because it's 38 out of 52, or 51. 12 were at full price versus 4. 40 were above list as opposed to 9. It's changing. The market is changing. But it hasn't gone off the cliff yet. Just to let you know. Okay. Oops. Go back. So why is Victoria an anomaly? Because I always tell you that, right? So it is because we're unaffordable and on sale at the same time. We're unaffordable for locals. A lot of people will tell you, can't buy here, can't do anything here, blah, blah, blah. But we are on sale to other markets. Oops, I went the wrong way. Okay, how are houses on sale when the benchmark price here is 1.391 now, currently? We are on sale because we're 64 cents on the dollar to Vancouver. If you walked into the grocery store and you saw something that was 64 cents on the dollar, would you buy it or would you sell it? You would buy it. Is that a good deal? That's a good deal for people in Vancouver. Is it a good deal if you're living here, working at Starbucks? No. But Vancouver has a much harder landing than we do. Historically, it's always been that way. It will always be that way. We are more stable just because we have military, we have government employment. Our employment is much more steady, and we have retirees who are moving here. They already have their money. They're not coming here to make their money. They've already got it. So west side of Vancouver, average price is still 3.3 mil, and they've come down. They're dropping at a much faster rate than we are. But you compare that, that's why Victoria looks like it's still on sale. And so that's where we're seeing buyers come from. Toronto, Vancouver, other parts of the world where we still look like we're on sale. So I've been a developer, done things, and so is it time to build? More supply is the obvious route out of our housing crisis. But it's not really that advantageous right now. I'm not building. I won't be building probably for a couple of years. And the reason is people can't afford to live here, so there's a labor shortage. All the construction sites are crying for laborers, but they can't find housing for them to move here. Land prices have skyrocketed, so that shrinks your profit margin. The cost of building has skyrocketed, inflation. COVID, we've got supply chain issues, and they're not over. I'm still waiting for a fridge that I've been waiting for 3 months for. And now they tell me middle of October. And it wasn't even a fancy fridge. Okay, housing starts are beginning to decline. So CMHC is stating we need 3.5 million new homes in Canada by 2030, and we're already on track to be short by 1 to 2 million. Victoria, I think it was just this week, released a thing. They want 44,000 new houses in Victoria before 2040. Yeah, they're not making it easy. I'm not going to go through all that. See, you can look up CMHC for stats, but it's not pretty for the housing shortage. More than 805,000 homes unsuitable for the number of people living there. What does that mean? It means that you got families of 6 living in a 2-bedroom apartment. Is that sustainable? No. You've got families of 4 living in a 1-bedroom apartment. You know, it's not sustainable. The other thing I want to point out here is the Ontario homebuyers stunned when the developer comes and says, we need $175,000 more from you to finish this. And you know what? People are stunned, but they didn't read the contract either. How many people here love pre-sales? I do in a lot of cases, but not in this market, I don't.
Thanks a lot.
Sorry. Is it?
You're sweating, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just, you need to read contracts. Contracts are changing. Sunshine Coast Community limits short-term rentals. On an estimated 50 short-term rental operators in Sechelt, only 15 will be able to remain. So a lot of people have been relying on short-term rentals as their strategy, and you just have to know what your bylaws are and which way the wind is blowing at council, right? Check it out before you make that your strategy. So what are opportunities? There's always opportunities, right? Never let a good crisis go to waste. Okay, so. How did that happen? Where did that go? Did I lose my last few slides?
No, it went off.
Went offline? Okay, anyway, won't be much to tell you. Oh. There. So what's this best strategy? Really, when you're looking at the best strategies right now that I can tell you, because we are in a little bit of an iffy thing, so I'm just going to give you some real tips on what you should be doing right now. You should make sure at any opportunity you look at that you read that contract through. The small print is going to be more important today than it ever has been, probably in your history of investing. You are going to want to talk to your mortgage person. You're going to want to know how you're positioned, how you are, what are your choices, because the opportunities are coming. The opportunities are going to be there. And even now, you might find one that's really good and you're comfortable with, but if you are in a position to pull the trigger and do what you need to do, you're going to lose valuable time. So invest in yourself, learn. This is your opportunity to learn. Do your research, be very good about it, and get your ducks in a row. I'm not saying that you can't find opportunity out there now, you can. But we also know that it may be wise to wait a little while, because things may get a little worse if you're just waiting to buy. If you are waiting to sell, you might want to explore that option and go, well, I was thinking about selling this maybe in the spring or next year. You might want to revisit that, right? You might want to revisit where your next buy is going to come from. So it's really important that you take the time while you have it to check all of that out. Know your numbers. It's okay to sit for a while. And I know lately, like every real estate conference you go to or podcast you listen to, it's take action, take action, take action, take action. Your action right now is to make sure you know what you're going to get into. Okay? That's it. That's all the time I have.